Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, hello there. Good morning to you. Good Monday to you. It's 7/7/14. I wonder if that means anything. 7/7/14. And here we are again. There's something just about the constant circle of life that sometimes just comes and smacks you right in the face. Here we go again. Okie doke. I have a question to start. I did not watch the soccer stuff much. I know it's still going on, but I don't care. And I didn't watch it much. As a matter of fact, I didn't watch it at all. I didn't watch it at all. I'm not making a point by saying that. I'm not disparaging people who were into it. I'm just saying I got enough on my plate. I wasn't into it. And more than not watching soccer, I must say another big event, sporting event that I never, ever could understand anybody getting into, especially now, is the Tour de France. Or the Tour de France, okay? Which I understand is going on now, right? Mm-hmm. But how come it's going on in England? That's my question. How can the Tour de France be in England? I didn't get the memo. And so I saw this picture of the British young royals all, at the event, and I saw today that they're now racing, I think, to London. How's that a Tour de France? And how do they get to France on bikes? I know one of you knows, and I'm sure I could have found out, but that's odd. Has it ever not been in France before? There's certain, I don't know. I want to say that don't get it. Okay, so that's my question, and I hope somebody answers it before the show is over. Why is the Tour de France touring England? Don't make no sense. It's sort of like, how the Big Ten isn't 10 teams. I mean, sometimes there's names, and they suggest a reality, and then you find out that what seems obvious, that the Tour de France would be in France and that the Big Ten would have 10 teams. I mean, what seems obvious, given the nomenclature, turns out to be strangely incorrect. Okay. The other quickie here. So this woman in Wisconsin lost her wedding ring. This happens a lot more than you think, or maybe not. I mean, I don't know what you think. This is maybe more than I think, because a woman will take maybe her ring off to do the dishes or to do something, not wanting to get it dirty. I don't know. And this woman had looked everywhere and had absolutely given up. And she'd lost it. I mean, it was 5 years. And then it appeared. And you know how it appeared? Tucker, her dog, ate a popsicle, which he not supposed to have eaten. Tucker ate a popsicle and puked. And there in the middle of Tucker's puke was her long-lost wedding ring. Now that begs the question, had Tucker swallowed that ring 5 years ago? Or had he just come upon it recently? I think he had to have just come upon it, right. And anyway, there you have it. I just, never know. Lois Marakowski. And Tucker now can have all the popsicles he wants. Okay. What else I got here? I'm avoiding the heavy stuff because I hate the heavy stuff on Monday. Frankly, I hate the heavy stuff on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, too. I mean, really, what poet said it? The world is too much with us. Because the world is too much with us. And I do now clearly see that reading the papers as I do every day and immersing myself in, it's so clearly not conducive to good health. And I also think that the older I get, the more prone to sort of anxiety I seem to have. So why should I be looking at that stuff that just makes me unhappy, makes me feel powerless, makes me despair? So, I don't know. How about if we morph this into a cooking show or something? What do you think? Something. Doesn't have to be cooking. God knows, because I'm not known as a fine cook. I'm known as a serviceable cook. Given a recipe to follow, I will follow it to the letter. Well, I didn't remark. No one was on the road coming here. It was like empty. And I have this sense that I'm talking into emptiness today, too. Where is everybody? Sometimes do you feel like something's happening and you're the only one who doesn't know about it? The downtown seems strangely empty. And really, the road seemed strangely empty. And maybe what a lot of people have done is take that 4th of July and make it into I forget people do summer vacations. I do. I never can take a vacation because I spent all my downtime hospitalized. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. So I got my, dang, I didn't bring it in. I told you I got a bill from my lovely overnight hospital stay at UPMC Presby, where I was taken by ambulance on May 2nd after suffering an awful fall. And I got that bill. That bill was $40,000. And that didn't include like what certain doctors might then bill me. But I was told Presby's bill was something like $40,000. Well, in the interim, I've gotten stuff from my insurance company, what they said they'll pay, what this one will pay, what my supplemental insurance will pay, all this kind of crapola. I meant to bring it in because it is literally, I am now growing a pile of papers related to this fall that is extraordinarily thick and incomprehensible. Here's a question I have. I get all of these papers and it says, service date, 5/2/14. Over and over it says 5/2/14. Definitely an inauspicious day. I mean, an auspicious day. I mean, not a good day for me. 5/2/14, 5/2/14. And then the insurance company send you the stuff and they'll say we've been charged $785 for something. They never tell you what it is. And then it says in the next column, we paid $32. Wait a minute. They charged $785, you paid $32? Then my supplemental insurance kicks in and says, and we paid $8. And so altogether they paid $40 on that $785, and it says cost to you? And I'm thinking, shit, I'm going to have to pay hundreds of dollars. Cost to me? Nothing. Right here is a system clearly that is so insane, so unbelievably insane, that it's a wonder we don't just ridicule it out of existence. So I have sheets and sheets and sheets. Some of these services, none of which are defined. I don't know the thing that costs $785. I'm not sure what that was. It's probably a pill. Then there's things for $3,000 and something and $5,000 and something, to which the insurance companies maybe coughed up $1,600 or something. But what kind of an it really is. You couldn't make up the absurdity of this system. And then if you were to try to explain it to somebody and say, well, no, you see those prices, none of which are codified in any way that means anything to me, the person who is responsible for all these charges, but really not. So the only way somebody who had a bad fall on May 2nd, 2014, who got all these bills, $785 there, $3,245 there, 62, $100 million this, $100 million that, blah, 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 added up, it adds up to $40,000. The only person who would be expected to pay all these exorbitant charges is a person who clearly can't pay those exorbitant costs, because it'd be a person who didn't have insurance, who couldn't afford. What kind of a system is that? All right, no, the only people who have to pay $40,000 are poor people, okay? They're the only ones who have to pay the $40,000. If you're rich and are covered and even have supplemental policies and all that, you pay nothing. And in fact, it's just a joke, these numbers. These numbers mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. The insurance companies look and they say, what a joke. And they pay 1/10, if that. Unless you're poor, then pony it all up. That has to be the definition of insanity. The way we do this, insurance and in healthcare, health insurance, the way we do this makes Rube Goldberg look like, Einstein. And to think that there are people who defend the system with a straight face. They defend it. To think of how Barack Obama had to use up all his political capital and then some, just trying to get the Affordable Care Act passed, which is, of course, a totally imperfect, nonsensical kind of a system, too, because it has to exist within the already created, absurd, nonsensical, are you kidding me? What a joke of a system. This is where everybody now with a brain in their head says, universal. But we as a people do not have whatever. We don't have the smarts, to just throw this system out, this stupid, insane, indefensible system out, and just start over. It's not like we have to make it up. Almost every other country in the world has universal health care. So just take that template, and we're in business. Jesus. Oh. Here's something else that drives me crazy. Wind chimes. I'm not sure which one drives me crazier, wind chimes or health insurance. I just want to say to all you people who have wind chimes, rethink it. Okay? Just rethink it. I think at some point, many of us, I was going to say all, but that wouldn't be true. Many of us have fallen under the sway of a wind chime and have purchased one and have hung it up and have enjoyed it. There's something about the fact that if it's your wind chime making the noise, the sound, the little tinkle, tinkle, tinkle sound, the ringing, the bells, the whatever it makes, if it's yours, it's somehow lovely and relaxing and comfortable. But if it ain't yours, I got news for you. You know what it is? It's annoying as hell. It keeps you up at night. It forces you on a lovely, breezy summer evening when you would throw your windows open to sleep and so the breezes could blow into your bedroom. It forces you to slam your window shut so that you can muffle the sound of that damn wind chime on your neighbor's porch. Now, I bring this up not because I am currently being annoyed by a wind chime. I bring it up because I was with friends, I believe on the 4th. And somebody said, "What's that noise?" We were outside. And one of the folks there said, "It's so-and-so's damn wind chime." And it made me remember what an annoying thing wind chimes are. I want you all, and I know some of you have them. You do. If you live in an area where other people are going to have to listen to what you have decided to do, because sound carries, think about it. Okay? I had a wind chime, really, up until relatively recently, just to be honest. But my wind chime, I thought, passed muster. Because it wasn't one of those, little tinkling bells. It was a gong. It was a huge, I can't do this with my arm. It was here, I can do it like that. It was this huge brass circle. And then it had a big rope, and it had a thing that, like, if a really stiff wind came, it would bong. I thought that was cool. But come to think of it, that too would have annoyed the hell out of me if it weren't mine. And in a storm, man, crash, boom, bong, yes, yes. And my neighbors must have wanted to kill me. Finally, it broke. Just saying, wind chimes. Take a quiet moment and rethink. Okay? Make the world a little more pleasant. Remove a little stress from your neighbors. You can live without wind chimes. Trust me. All right, I'm taking a break. Yes, indeedy. Oh, that's the other thing. I had on, CNN in the background when I was getting ready this morning. And, one of their live reports, they were talking to somebody somewhere, and they lost the signal. Oh, we seem to have lost Jim. Jim, can you hear me? Jim, can you hear me? And then, we seem to have lost Jim. And we all know how it works. You ask twice, are they there? Then you say, oh, we seem to have lost them. And then they go to a break. And the woman said, well, we'll go to it. Let's take a short break. And it occurred to me, have you ever heard anybody say, we'll take a long break? Have you ever? Is that anything that has ever been heard? No. So let me do it now just for fun. Time to take a long break. We'll be back God knows when.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win 4 Kennywood tickets and 4 Sandcastle tickets. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Oh, my heavens. Sorry. Gosh. Wish I'd do something about my voice. I wanted to tell you about the Urban Gardener. Yes, the Urban Gardener. They might even sell wind chimes. If they do, there's only 1 or 2 there. That's the neat thing about it. They don't have, it's not one of these places where you're so overwhelmed with so many possibilities, America. This harkens back to the way things used to be, where the urban gardeners, the 2 women who own the place, do the editing for us. And all they put in front of us is a totally wondrous array of all kinds of possibilities that can easily be taken in a visit. So the Urban Gardener, hundreds of different flowers, perennials, annuals, bushes, trees, herbs, ground cover, maybe a wind chime, I don't know, accessories. And also, they'll answer your questions. This is why I love these people. It's also contained. Ooh, lots of containers, too. Because it is about urban gardening. If you live in the city, if you live in Pittsburgh, odds are you don't have a huge yard, right? You got a little teeny yard. The best kind of yard. And you want to make the most of that yard. Odds are, too, because Pittsburgh's so green, you might have a very shady yard. So they have a lot of wondrous plants that do well in shade. The Urban Gardener, when I found these guys, I thought I had found nirvana. I now had a destination. I didn't have to go trying a million places. Here it was, everything in one place. On the north side, 1901 Brighton Road, and easily gotten to. And check out their website, which is a great website filled with all kinds of wonderful information. Around this time of year, I'd say they're starting to cut prices on certain things. Now would be a really good time. I'm telling myself this right now, actually. Now would be a really good time to head over there. They do consultation work. They even do the work themselves if you want them to, if you want to pay for that. Okay. So go to the Urban Gardener or go to their website first, urbangardenerpgh.com. Okay? And remember to, if you buy anything there, say Lynn Cullen, Lynn Cullen, Lynn Cullen, you get a discount. Cool, huh?
Welcome to Move Time Radio, presented by the Arthritis Foundation. And we're smack dab in the middle of our dance-a-thon to fight arthritis pain. Me, I've been grooving for 10 hours straight, baby, but I'm a boogie machine. See, movement is just one of the ways to help fight osteoarthritis pain. Another is weight loss. You get rid of just 1 pound. That's 4 pounds of pressure off each knee. For more information on managing pain, visit fightarthritispain.org. Then meet me on the dance floor. This message brought to you by the Arthritis Foundation and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Laura writes, wind chimes are not soothing even if you own them. I have one, she says. It hangs inside on the doorknob to my china cabinet. It's a jarring noise. It would wake me if someone tried to steal something from my china cabinet. So Laura's using a wind chime as like a guard dog. She says it used to hang by the window until my husband complained and always yelled, "What is that noise?" Thank you, Laura, underscoring my complaint. So, wind chimes. Okay, got that down. Did you see this little thing? I think it happened last week, and I failed to mention it, but it tickled me. Now, it doesn't seem right to say it tickled me because this has to do with somebody being shot, but it did tickle me. Because anytime somebody gets shot at a gun show, I love it. And especially when the shooter, the person who shoots, is one of the guys that, is a vendor, and this happened right here in Pennsylvania. Right, Pennsylvania. This guy was showing this woman a concealed carry holster. This tells you something about the people who want to, all right, we know what we're doing. And the guy selling this crap, and he ended up shooting the woman in the leg. Yeah. Okay. I could do a rant on fireworks, but I'll cease and desist. Okay? I think I have to mention the passing of Richard Mellon Scaife. I did not have an opportunity to do so since he died on Friday, and I did not know of his death until after. Oh, I wasn't even here on Friday. What am I talking about? He died on the 4th. He was born on the 3rd.
Oh, wow.
That's sort of cool. So he hung on for his last birthday. So they say he was 82. He was barely 82. And I think I have not said many nice things about Richard Mellon Scaife in my tenure. In fact, one time, I had just gotten the job at WPTT. Just gotten it. And WPTT had not been a talk station. A locally owned station, and they were, when WTAE Talk went to sports, and I lost my job, the guy who owned, his name is Tony Renda, the guy who owned PTT and some other stations, he owns WJAS and who knows what, I can't think of him. He's a smart cookie, and he thought, boy, there's all these, there was an audience there for that woman's show. That woman. And so he decided he was going to switch from country and Western music to talk. And I was to be the first person in to help make this transition. And so in I came. And it had to have been maybe the first week of the show. And something happened with Richard Mellon Scaife. This would have been during the Clinton presidency, yes? And Scaife was up to his, he was funding every lunatic fringe operation that was trying to tie the Clintons to, every horror and felony known to man. And I went off on him. in my inimitable style. And the head of the station asked to see me. And I remember we sat down across a conference room table, and he proceeded to tell me that he was very upset by what I had said about Richard Mellon Scaife. And he asked if I knew him. I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, I do. And he's a nice man, and he's a this guy, and blah, 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 blah. I said, but that's not what I'm talking about. I said, I'm talking about his politics. And I said, in any way, I said, we shouldn't be having this conversation. He was clearly trying to tell me not to, he was letting me know, hey, you might have a microphone here, but I don't want you trashing my buddies from the country club, okay? And so I said to the guy, I said, look, I can't work under those, I can't work like that. I said, I know you're new to having a talk station, but if you're going to have a talk station, you got to let the talkers talk. And you hired me because you thought I would bring audience to you and ratings, and I will do that, but you got to let me do what I do. And he continued to protest a bit, and I said, look, here's what we do. I said, I can't work here then. We can't do this. I said, I just started. I'm happy we can write up a statement to give to the, papers, to just tell them that we decided it wasn't a good fit, and I went happily on my way, and you went happily back to Country Western or whatever, and we'll just call it quits. I said, because I can't work if you're going to be critiquing my show, the content of my show. And amazingly, he backed down. And I think he hated me ever since. I think he just couldn't stand me. And I did say to him, I said, my advice to you, seriously, my advice to you is do not listen. Do not listen to my show. Your politics are totally opposite of mine. So why listen? It'll only raise your blood pressure. Now, anyway, I don't know if he listened or not. I think he took my advice, actually, and didn't. But I've never said anything good about Richard Mellon Scaife. And there was a piece, I don't know where I saw, on the internet today, written by somebody, which I didn't, and it was talking about how Scaife is emblematic of the reality of the complexity of human beings. That while people like me love to hate him, love to vilify him, he was a human being. And there were places where he and I actually would end up in the same place. I knew a woman who was his secretary. I was friends with a woman who was his secretary for some time. And she humanized him as well for me. But the damage he did with that money, he didn't see it as damage. He really believed in his view of the world and in his politics. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that this is a man who wasn't quite the cardboard cutout that we'd like to think. That, like all of us, he was not wholly one thing or wholly another. He was a complicated, complex human being who, if you found yourself sitting at a bar with him, might have enjoyed his company. Might have found lots of things to talk about. One of the sort of endearing, she's saying, about Richard Mellon Scaife that happened toward the latter part of his life is when he fell in love with the Clintons. The Clintons, who he spent millions and millions and millions of dollars going after. I mean, he was the one who funded all of those loons who were accusing the Clintons of killing Vince Foster, who made that little bungled real estate deal known as Whitewater into this huge thing, who ultimately ended up with having Monica Lewinsky in the blue dress lead to the impeachment of the president. Richard Mellon Scaife's money was at the base of all of that. And yet, after the dust settles, he meets both of them, and he likes them. And so some of his money starts flowing into Bill Clinton's foundation. And astonishingly, his conservative paper endorses Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary, because she came and met with him, and he was wowed by her. Also, Richard Mellon Scaife, who gave lots of money to Planned Parenthood. So he was pro-choice. He was pro-gay marriage. He was, I guess, he was he was anti-war on drugs. He was libertarian, and that's how he got into those camps, I believe. The New York Times obit says this of him: a real-life Citizen Kane with red cheeks, white hair, blue eyes, and a wide smile for the cameras. Friends called him intuitive, but not intellectual. He told Vanity Fair his favorite TV show was The Simpsons. Hard not to sort of like that guy. And yet here is a man who used his money to help create this divisive political landscape. Long before the Koch brothers ever came into view, Richard Mellon Scaife had the bright idea, or if he didn't have the idea, people came to him and he readily funded it, of bringing conservative politics back from the horrors of Goldwater and that stomping. And he's the one who funded all of those think tanks and foundations that ended up spewing out all of this propaganda and hordes of people who later would be bloviating all over the cable television universe as experts on this and experts on that, all spouting this very, very right-wing line. So it was he who helped the Heritage Foundation get off the ground. It was Richard Mellon Scaife who helped the Cato Institute, the American Enterprise Institute, Judicial Watch, so many of these things with his money. I don't know. Interesting figure. And I must say that when I saw, I guess it was just a few weeks before he died, when he wrote in the Tribune Review telling us that he was, in fact, dying, I thought his line was funny as hell, and I liked it. I liked the spunk in it. He wrote, I don't have the whole thing here, but he said, I am dying of an incurable cancer. And then, here's the quote. He said, some who dislike me may rejoice at this news. Naturally, I can't share their enthusiasm. I love that line. So, Richard Mellon Scaife, gone. He'll be missed by a lot of folks. They'll miss his money. I'm sure because he leaves so much that a lot of places will be enriched in his will. And he does have 2 children who I'm sure will inherit a lot of it. So, Richard Mellon Scaife, who even though he was reclusive, cast a large shadow in American politics and certainly here in Pittsburgh. And I'm willing to bet he left enough to keep that paper of his, which was his greatest joy, going for a long, long time. Okay, time for an interminably long break. We'll be back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
We will not be an easy target. We will never roll over and let pain plan our day. We will protect our bodies and fight back by moving. We will do our morning laps, walk our dogs around the block, pass up the elevator, and proudly take the stairs. Because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? To learn more, visit us at fightarthritispain.org. This message brought to you by the Arthritis Foundation and the Ad Council.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win 4 Kennywood tickets and 4 Sandcastle tickets. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Margaret writes, pirate talk would be good today. Yeah, it would, but I don't want to jinx anything. Pirates, wow, hell of a homestand just completed. 8 wins, a mere 2 losses. They sit now in second place. 4.5 games out of first. But they're on their way to St. Louis. And those damn pesky Cardinals are in third place by just, I think, half a game. I think they're 5 out, right? So we got a 3-game stand in St. Louis. But I'll tell you, we got the makings of a great team. It is true. I mean, you look at that outfield. God, I love that outfield. And the infield ain't bad either. And then some of them pitchers. And then, oh, gosh, really good. I don't know what happened to the bullpen this year, but really good. So, it's wonderful. I've been keeping my mouth shut about them because I have to admit I was a little nervous there for some time because they sure looked like they didn't have their act together. And now they're coming on strong. And it's a good time to be getting your act together. So, yeah, Pirates, I love it. Funny little piece, I don't know if it's interesting little piece. If you're going to New York City anytime soon and you do the touristy thing and end up over there in Times Square and you find yourself not accosted but approached by a Buddhist monk, guy dressed in those, the color is sort of I was going to say saffron, but that's not right. It's more of a, I don't know, like the Dalai Lama has sort of a, I don't know. I think there's a few colors. But you'll know them when you see them, right? Wearing that sort of orangey colored thing with their shaved heads. And they are apparently all over the place in New York. And here's the thing. They aren't really Buddhist monks. Did I say priests before? They are not Buddhist monks. They're just beggars. They're just con artists. In order to do this particular con, you do have to be Asian. Ideally, I think it would help. So this is relatively new to the United States, the fake Buddhist monks, but Australia has been dealing with them for a long time, so has New Zealand, and the media there regularly alert folks to the fact that they're back. So there's headlines like "Bogus Buddhists are back." So the upsetting thing about this is to Buddhists who are just mortified. You will not see these con artists anywhere near a Chinese neighborhood because they would be found out. And some genuine Buddhists have been known to confront these so-called monks around Times Square. Here's a quote from one guy who said, "I quizzed him on the 5 precepts of Buddhism. The man didn't know a one." So, sometimes they're a little aggressive, apparently, and the cops have them in their sights, but they say nothing is illegal about walking around in Times Square dressed as a monk and asking people for money. I don't know. They say that now real monks are afraid to go into Times Square for fear of looking like one of these folks. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to, just watch out. So the furries were here, right, and are gone again. And there's something awful cute, I think, about the fact that Pittsburgh and the furries have gotten so tight. I think it speaks well of our city that we took to these strange people and that these strange people took to us and found us to be a very comfortable, welcoming kind of a place. All of this is why Pittsburgh's getting a rep for being pretty dang cool. But the thing about the furries is, you know, I was saying the other night to somebody, it's getting to be around here. It's like the swallows coming back to Capistrano, right? You forget when they're coming, and then you hear they're coming, that they're due, and then you see a few of them, and you're happy. You think, oh gosh, the furries are back. And you might think they're really odd. You might not get it at all, but they sure add a little interest to the urban landscape for one weekend a year. And it's sort of like welcoming back part of the family. You know, the lunatic fringe part of the family, but part of the family, and it's great. They never overstay their welcome. They're just here. They remind you that they're family, and they love our city, and we love them right back, and then they go away. And I just think that's one of the neat things now about Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh and the furries are family. I do like that very much. All right. This is annoying. Headline, Post-Gazette today, Pennsylvania balks at releasing route info on oil trains. Now, doesn't seem like an exciting thing, but here, let me tell you what that's about. You have perhaps noted, if you do subject yourself to national news that trains seem to be falling off the tracks a lot lately. Have you noticed that? Yeah. Hey, did you see the one where the train went off the tracks and spilled its load of jets? Did you see that? The fuselage, all these new jets that were heading off to the West Coast to have their wings put on, yes, and to be finished. And there are all these 3 totally new, God knows how much money in those things. They're like, the train derails and vomits up wingless jetliners, which end up, sliding down a hill and maybe into a river. I don't know. Trains are coming off the tracks a lot. There was one that just happened in Sewickley a few days ago, right? The thing is, increasingly, these trains are carrying toxic chemicals, and they're really carrying tons of oil. Oil. We're into it big time now. And these tankers apparently are old, and they don't necessarily hold them well, and they don't have whatever. So the federal government now, having seen this flurry, I think I said that because of the furries. I think that's in my head. The flurry of derailments, the U.S. Department of Transportation, a few months ago, said, hey, all you railroad companies, I want you immediately to report to every state government that your tracks go through what the hell you're carrying. And we want to know how many trains go through every county in that state per week. Anytime a train is carrying 1 million gallons or more in this crude oil, we want to know. So, that's something you'd want to know too, maybe, if you live anywhere near a train track, and most of us do. So the Post-Gazette's trying to do a piece on this, and they call up the state government and say, so we'd like to see a copy of the report you got from the companies, railroad companies. And the state said, not on your life. That information is confidential and proprietary. Guess what? In the state of North Dakota, it ain't. They released the report. State of California, it ain't confidential and proprietary. They released the report to their public. Same did Montana. Florida, not proprietary. Same information that Pennsylvania says, absolutely not. Virginia, no problem. Felt people should know. So, just wanted to say that this is our state. And transparency is apparently, it's like, Big Daddy state. No need for the people who live a block from the tracks to know. And a little more looking around. And the fact is that these oil trains go by Station Square regularly. They go by the convention center on that regularly across the Allegheny. They go by on Route 28. They're all over the place. And as you know, there have been conflagrations and fatalities that have resulted from some of these accidents that seem to be proliferating. I would like to know, personally, because I got tracks near me. Everybody does. Okay, let's see. Chuck writes, Lynn, Only in the Libertarian Party would people like Richard Scaife and Doug Hirth find commonality. Yeah, Doug was a libertarian too. That party is a real melting pot. Yeah, it's why, why somebody like a Rand Paul gets a lot of interest from young people and from other people, because Rand Paul and I end up on the same page a lot, in terms of sometimes foreign policy issues, in terms of get out of my uterus, get out of my, life issues. But Chuck goes on to write, I'm wondering if the Tribune Review will now move a bit more to the middle. No. Personally speaking, I find myself spending more time these days reading the Trib and the PG, not because of its politics, but simply because I find more interesting articles. You know what, Chuck? I do too. That's scary to say. The Post-Gazette's going to hell in a handbasket. You don't even know the Bible. You don't know. And there are very few people who are seasoned reporters writing, because most have just bailed out, moved on. But you're right that I find that reading both local papers gets you a lot more news. And the Trib has a staff of some very good reporters. They really do. I stay away from the editorial page because it makes me itch. Have you been? I've been itching a lot today. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I forget I'm on camera and I don't know what's wrong. Oh, he meant to say he's reading the Trib rather than the PG. Yeah. Lynn writes, I see Richard Scaife as the man who bought up all of our local independent newspapers, such as the Irwin Standard Observer, the McKeesport Daily News, and all of the local gateway newspapers. So those were all little local papers. He's the one who took them all under his umbrella, huh? He either shut them down or filled them with his propaganda. I'm not sorry to see him go and hope to get some balance back to this area, particularly Westmoreland County and the Mon Valley. Well, but his company still owns all those papers. I don't see that there would be any change just because he's not here. Really. I guess that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. Speaking of, I love this aphorism. Well, it's a George Carlin line. But I think George Carlin was one of the smartest cookies around. And he said so many things that are so just bang, right on the money. He cut through the crap like nobody else. And on most occasions made you laugh. And on most occasions made you think. So listen to this George Carlin quote. This is not meant for a laugh. Well, I can see where in the context of something it would get a laugh, but this is to me a very, very profound thought, and one I know to be true. And here it is. By and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. That's an unhappy reality. By and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. The thing is that language in the hands of folks bent on misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, whatever, it's a powerful tool to do exactly that. To conceal the truth, to obliterate the truth. Language, when in the hands of cynics and people with a certain agenda, oh, what language can do. Brings me to one of my favorite words, obfuscate. Obfuscate. And now I'm going to say, what does that mean? But obfuscate is using words to do exactly what I think they're intended to communicate, so that, you explain things through words. Obfuscate is using words to do the exact opposite. To cloud. To confuse. To hide. To flim-flam. It's how you get stuff. The military was great at using language as to conceal the truth. Using language and obfuscation to, it's how you get the term collateral damage. It's how you get a term like, let me think of some. Come on. Like what? Oh, revenue enhancement, as opposed to a word, 3-letter word, that really says what they don't want to say, tax. So in a day and age now where the word tax is something we don't say, is a dirty, dirty word, they come up with things like, oh no, that program that's a revenue enhancer. No, it's not a tax. Revenue enhancement, collateral damage, that kind of thing. What do they call the complaint departments? There's no such thing as a complaint department anymore. What do they call them? Customer? Oh God, there's some funny ones. That with straight faces, they make this stuff up. George Carlin, brilliant. By and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. Okie doke. Tomorrow we talk. Good. I'll look forward to it. Have a great day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.